What's up, Internet, and welcome to Engadget's live unboxing of the Surface Duo, Microsoft's dual-screen Android phone. I am Senior Editor Devendra Hardawar, and I'm joined with Chris Velasco, Senior Mobile Editor Engadget. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a great time early in the morning. Well, early in the morning. It's noon.
Early in the morning.
I should be more awake, but I'm not.
Instead of eating, we are going to consume gadget porn, basically, like gadget content. Like, this is what we're doing. This is all I want. I don't need food because I have the Surface Duo. I just got it in this morning. I'm just going to lean over here. I got a box from a secure courier, not the Microsoft courier, but not a normal UPS guy. It had to come in like a secure thing. Yeah. So we're gonna start unboxing this thing, but this is just to give you guys a sense. This is what the press box looks like right now, and it was covered in like a red, just like caution, confidential bag. It looked like somebody was delivering a Mission Impossible device to me. You know, this device will self-destruct after all this.
And just a quick reminder to the people watching, thank you for joining us while Devendra is unboxing the new Surface Duo. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, so if you have any questions, we will be monitoring to see what you guys want to know, and we will answer them to the best of our ability. We're not exactly sure what we're going to run into, so we're going to do our best.
And to be absolutely clear, I got this thing 2 hours ago. I have not opened it myself. I have not touched it myself. So this is going to be a discovery process for all of us. One caveat, apparently we learned from Microsoft, we cannot turn this thing on. So I can pull out the Surface Duo. I can do all sorts of stuff with it. I can hinge it around, and we could talk about the case, but Chris and I can't talk about it being turned on yet, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
There are other words that one might use to describe that particular stipulation, but we will not go there. Quick question, Devendra, one's come in already. That's a pretty slick package. Is that, to your knowledge, the retail box or something maybe specific to the press?
I'm not quite sure. I have not opened it yet, so I have no clue. Let's open it. Let's start opening it. So I take both sides and take this side off. It just kind of opens like this. Honestly, when Microsoft gets this fancy, it is usually a press type box, and I see there's a little tab here. So we're gonna just juggle all this and hopefully not knock down a camera, not knock down my phone. Oh, hello. So we have the Surface Duo here and a pair of Surface earbuds. Yeah, I guess this is special because one of the first 50 devices directly from Microsoft, and a couple things at the bottom here. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing that.
Quick shout out to the chat. We see that you guys are having issues with our volume. We are working on that, so stay tuned.
Sorry about that. We're all just so excited. So I'm going to take this out. We have seen the Surface earbuds before. I'm not going to spend too much time there, but that is the packaging, or at least the big box packaging. So now we have this box here.
From what you're able to see, is there a Surface Pen in there, or is that coming? What is the situation? The sort of stylus that one is, I believe, meant to use with the Surface.
You know what Microsoft's favorite thing to do is not include the Surface Pen in any devices anymore. So it works with all the Surface Pens. We know that, but it does not come with any Surface Pens. And actually, there is no space to even hold a Surface Pen. You kind of have to keep it in your pocket or something. So yeah, let's begin.
God, that is really unfortunate. I mean, we knew going into this year, for example, that the Samsung's new foldable, the Galaxy Z Fold 2, which was rumored to have S Pen support, that obviously didn't make the cut. It seemed like Microsoft was on the right track by building that sort of pen support directly into the Surface Duo, but to not give people that option out of the box, that doesn't feel great to me.
It is. It's a shame. And let me just tell you guys, if you've read my reviews of Surface devices recently, the thing I keep mentioning is, man, Microsoft, you really should be including this stylus, which you're selling so much, in the box, and also the keyboards. They haven't been doing that. So, okay, plastic is off. Let's get this going. I can already tell this feels pretty wide. Okay.
God, this is so surreal to watch because the last time I think any of us opened a Microsoft phone was what, 2016 with the Lumia 950 and the 950 XL, which were not great phones.
Oh man, this
God bless those people. Those were not great phones.
Let me get the sounds of the plastic coming off here. But this thing, I love this. Get your ASMR on. And again, I cannot turn it on. Oh man. Let's try to square everything here. So my first impression is this thing feels wide as a phone. Definitely feels wider than even like a phablet, even than like something like the Galaxy Note. But the individual components, this is incredibly thin. Like, let me just tilt it down here. I forget what the exact measurement was. I believe it was around 4 millimeters, but you can even get really up close there. It's practically razor thin for a phone. I feel like if it was just a single screen, I wouldn't want a device this thin on its own. But being so thin, you can sandwich it together and actually have like a decent holdable device.
That's beautiful. It's almost like moleskin size by the looks of it, from this end anyway.
Mm-hmm. Very much moleskin. It reminds me of like the paper moleskins I have and I use for reporting. So let's take a look at some of the closer things here too. So this is the front of it. We've got a Microsoft logo. It's covered in Gorilla Glass. I know a lot of people thought it was going to be like a matte phone or like a metal cover phone or like the magnesium alloy that Microsoft uses for Surface devices. No, it's all glass. And that is for reception. Because metal blocks antennas. It's not great. Here's the hinge on the side. This is really nice.
So one thing that I'm sort of getting while I'm watching you play with this is it looks beautiful, but also incredibly wide. Like,
it is so wide.
Like, can you hold this thing up to your head and just like give us a sense of what it would look like taking a phone call on this thing?
Okay, taking a phone call now. Yeah, I would not want to. And by the way, to take a phone call, you would flip it the other way, so you're looking at like the screen side. So flip it this way. I mean, this looks pretty wide, but here's the thing, and something I think a lot of people have been talking about with the bigger phones recently. Who does that very often anymore, right? Because most of the time you're going to be, this is it in phone mode now. Most of the time you're going to be down either with a pair of headphones or even in a room where you could do speakerphone. I feel like holding the phone up to your ear is something you mainly did in like crowded areas. If you were at work or something, you didn't have your headphones plugged in, or if you were on the subway or something. We don't go anymore. We don't go anymore. We don't go anywhere.
You're telling me that sitting in your beautiful new home, that when you get a phone call, do you just always have a wireless pair of headphones in, or do you like reach for the phone and pick it up? Because I only ever pick up my phone.
Yeah, I mean, I pick up my phone, but when I prepare for a phone call, let me say it that way. If I know I'm going to be sitting and talking to somebody for like, over 10 minutes, I will have headphones in because I want to do other stuff with my hands. So let me do this folding again because this is super smooth. So this is
and Devendra, when you get a chance, quick question about the camera situation. So where is the camera laid out? Is the camera inside the camera that you're also meant to use on the outside? What's going on there?
That is the unfortunate thing we learned when Microsoft talked about it. There's one camera right up here. I need to look up the specs of that again. I believe that was a 12 megapixel shooter. But yeah, you use it as a front camera for when you're doing video conferences or anything. But if you need a rear camera, you got to flip that sucker this way and then use this other screen to kind of frame it and frame your shots and everything. But it's one camera that does both, which is maybe not a great design choice when we're seeing so many smartphones with like multiple cameras these days. Like, what are we up to with the Samsungs? 3?
We were looking at like 4, upwards of 4 easily. But it should be pointed out that there is, mostly in Asia generally, there are quite a few smartphones that use one camera as both the front facing and the rear camera. I think the most recent example is probably the latest Asus Zenfone, with which Richard Lai just did a hands-on More Engadget. So this is not a completely unusual thing, and I think it's somewhat understandable because, again, as you've pointed out, look how thin this phone is. There is a distinct lack of room to really kind of play with. Really quick to circle back to the camera, it's an 11 megapixel camera with an f2.0 aperture.
Okay.
Sounds fine, at least on paper, but again, Microsoft, another M company, they haven't really worked with smartphone cameras since the days of the Lumia 950, 950 XL. Like, yes, it's not unusual for them to have cameras in their other devices. But
and that was mostly Nokia's technology. That was not Microsoft.
Exactly. So it's going to be really interesting to see just what sort of software sophistication Microsoft is able to bring to bear with this camera. But again, since we cannot turn this thing on, it's a little tough to say right now.
Here, let me hold it next to my iPhone 11 Pro and all sorts of updates that I will not show.
TK Lee, this is live. We're not pre-recorded. We're just hanging out here.
This is live. We're just chilling. But as you can see, iPhone 11 Pro. So not the Pro Max. A little lower. Gotcha. Not the Pro Max. I feel like this is a good comparison. So I like the 11 Pro. For me, this was a good balance. So I feel like this is more comparable to what the Pro Max is, but not as thick. I believe the weight is a little more than a half pound, but for everything you're getting here, it feels very solid. It feels like something I wouldn't mind holding for a long time. And of course, the real benefit is you're probably going to be holding it in this mode a lot. And this is going to be like, this feels balanced to me. This feels like when if you talk to like knife nerds and sword nerds and they talk about the balance of the blade and everything, this feels like a well-balanced blade. Let me put it that way.
There's your review headline right there.
A well-balanced blade. I cannot wait. So V, what do you think? You've seen a lot of the dual screen phones and the folding phones. How do you where do you sit in terms of your excitement with this device compared to everything else we're seeing?
Well, look, the way I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days is I want to buy one, but that should not be taken as any kind of, support or anything, because I'm a terrible person and I want to buy everything. I don't usually. I like this because I think it's fair to say that within the last few years, we've really, really seen Microsoft blossom as a maker of truly excellent, high quality hardware. And that is a pedigree that I think even a lot of companies who've been making smartphones for a really, really long time haven't, they don't operate at that level generally. So to see something like this from a company that has, in the last few years, had very little interest in getting into the smartphone game is very, very promising. I love it on a hardware level, but
I mean, when CEO Satya Nadella first came on, it seemed like he wanted to get Microsoft out of the phone business as quickly as possible because it was kind of in free fall. They didn't quite know what they were doing. It was hard to compete with Android. And then they started releasing Nokia's with Android, right? And even then, not so much. Did they actually do a Windows phone with Android at this point, or am I just dreaming this up?
No, I don't believe that's the case.
This is the first Microsoft phone with Android. That was a rumor for a long time, as I recall.
Yeah, because it was, Microsoft learned and Nokia learned and Microsoft learned after they subsumed Nokia that the process of bringing a third viable platform to market was technically doable as long as you're willing to spend billions of dollars and sort of languish in obscurity for years with no real hope of getting there. It was a great money suck and it could have been great, but practically speaking, it just didn't make sense for anyone to do it. So by adopting Android, it's a big deal.
They came in really late with Windows Phone. Windows Phone launched after Android. We know that whole story. It's very sad. To me, this is more reflective of what they've been doing with the Surface devices in general, which when that first Surface launched, it was a wild thing. It was nearly 10 years ago at this point.
Devindra.
It was
I stood in line in Times Square to buy a Surface RT, my friend.
You poor soul. This is why we say don't take purchasing advice from Chris Velasco.
Look, here's the thing. It was 2012. Microsoft unveiled the Surface RT. I was covering the launch for another website. And, sometimes you just get caught up in the moment. And I got caught up in the moment and I bought one at midnight and went unused.
Don't do that. So I've reviewed every single Surface device, or at least most of the major ones. And I've seen Microsoft go from Surface RT, which was a barely usable laptop / tablet. It didn't really work well. I wanted to throw that thing out the window. That was in my review. This is a device I just want to throw away. I feel like they've improved, and the work they've done with hinges and with form factor design, just really pushing things forward. They have really pushed the entire PC market towards convertibles and, machines that move a little differently than traditional laptops. So I wonder if this is going to be the start of something similar on the phone end.
Hey, Devindra, can we get really tight in on the hinge and some of the buttons here? I'd really love to kind of get a sense of what else is happening there.
Let's go. It's hard. Sorry, folks. It is hard for me to balance the angle of my camera with everything. So there's hinge.
Also, to everyone in the chat saying turn it on, we can't turn it on. Literally no one on YouTube with this thing has been able to turn it on.
Nobody can
turn it on. It's not our rules, unfortunately, but it's what we have to work with.
We're playing with it by following with these rules, which is unfortunate. But hey, at least you'll get to know our thoughts of it as we get up to launch.
Deb, quick question. Is there a bumper in the box?
That's actually a good question. Let's keep going with the rest of the box. So I'm going to put this down here gently, my precious.
Really, right off the bat, that hinge kind of reminds me, it feels very Lenovo.
Well, it does feel Lenovo, but I do also feel like Lenovo has been chasing the Surface Hinge for a while too. They've both been kind of competing. So what we have here says Surface Duo bumper, specially designed to protect your device. So that's in there. This is why you go through the whole box, folks.
Yeah, we got hung up on the thing, and then we just like totally.
How can you not?
We went around the bend a bit.
Oh, hello. So the bumper is literally a bumper around the sides.
Okay, so the bumper is physically in the box that the phone comes in. So everyone's getting that thing. And we've seen a lot of that bumper. I think one of Panos' tweets sort of had him using the phone with the bumper. So it's definitely going to be one of the things Microsoft strongly recommends that you use, but I'm curious to get it. How does this thing feel?
It feels, let me see here. It's very soft touch, silicone. It doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a premium case type thing. So, hey, that's good. Yep. It is, to me, like, this doesn't feel like the Apple bumper, which was the thing around the iPhone 4, remember? It is soft touch. It is soft touch in a way that we would recommend for, that you would expect from a Surface device, basically. And this is how you put it on. To see how to test a bumper, check out a video at Duo Bumper. It looks like it just slides right in. And I'm definitely going to be doing this because I like to put cases on my phones. And let me just say, I don't think this is a sign of the Duo being fragile, because every single phone is fragile these days, but you need a phone. You need a case with any phone. I'm happy Microsoft is including something in the box, even if this is just protecting the edges.
Yeah, toss that thing on the phone there while I kind of continue looking at the chat.
Let me see. Okay, you're putting me on the spot here now.
Gingivitis, the bumper seems more rigid than I expected. Which how rigid does that thing feel to you?
It's not. It's pretty. Let me just put this down. I don't want to drop the Duo, but it's like pretty. Like, it's flexible and it feels soft. Like, it doesn't feel rubbery. It doesn't feel like plastic. It's just like a nice overall feeling. Oh, there we go. I think there's some work I'm going to have to do to fit this in properly. It looks like that's kind of it. I do worry if I keep doing this more, I'm going to turn it on and then the Microsoft troopers will get me. But that is the base of it. And clearly it's not like messing with the hinge, which I think is the main worry I'd have. Mm-hmm.
Even as we're doing this, I like all of my thoughts sort of naturally spring to hardware, right? Because we've seen dual screen phones before. I think the last properly dual screen as opposed to foldable phone we saw was like the ZTE Axon M, which was this totally like weirdo device, which I gotta give credit. Like, ZTE has had a really tough time of it in America and a lot of other places, but mostly America since then. But that was a phone that launched on AT&T, had two screens that you could use together in some very interesting but also limited ways. I loved it because I could use it as the world's best Nintendo DS emulator, and also as just like a foldable Kindle I could put in my pocket while on the subway.
Which is really going to be the thing on this, I think. Like, the productivity aspects of a device like this, I have been dreaming of this for a while. I'm one of those people that love the idea of the courier concept that we saw from Microsoft pretty much a decade ago at this point. That famously killed off device. I'm looking forward to having two screens to browse web pages and shout at people on Twitter at the same time, or have two panes for all my email. Kindle reading, I think, is going to be much better too, because I hate the idea of just scrolling through books. I like the idea of turning pages through books. So you'll be able to do that here. Multitasking in general is something you can't do well on smartphones. So think of like copying text, doing pretty much anything. I always hate having to like highlight text, hit copy, flip over to another app, hit paste. Like, it's a very weird, restrictive system. Whereas with this, we've seen some previews where you could just like take text from a web page, throw it over, and wherever you put it, either the Notes app or Word or something, will just take that text and format it. So
Dave, we've got a couple more. Got a couple more questions coming in. Number one, this comes from Seaforce. Can you sort of clamp it shut like a flip phone, or does it have too much resistance for that to happen?
There's not much resistance. Like, it's all what I like about the hinge, and we didn't really talk too much about this. Let me do a full thing. It is very smooth. Like, this thing flips. Yep, this thing flips all the way around. And sorry, this camera is having trouble with this. But everything flips very smoothly. I don't feel resistance or slowdown or anything. And that's something I've noticed on like the folding phones, like the Galaxy Fold. Like, once you get to the edge, once you're trying to fold or something, or open it fully, you start to feel a little resistance, right? This has none of that.
Gotcha. So it's smooth all the way through.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. It stinks that you live where you live now and not like 10 minutes away from me.
I mean, I no longer live in New York. That's the thing. I had just moved recently near Georgia, so I'm doing.
Gosh, that thing is nice. Sorry.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. As you can see, it is a fingerprint magnet. Like, just me holding it so far, we're getting a lot of fingerprints all around. I'm noticing it more on the black, like the black screen and everything. But that's true of every single smartphone. So I don't hold that against Microsoft too much. I would have liked to see more cameras. And yeah. No headphone jack either, right? It's just USB-C.
Here's hoping those Surface earbuds come with the actual thing, but I don't think we're likely to be that lucky. Another question here from Dumark Mills. Do you see OEMs like Dell, HP, and Lenovo making their own devices like the Duo or the Neo?
I think we've seen Dell do some crazy things when it comes to phone design a couple of years ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if other companies try their hand at it. What's really cool about the Duo is that Microsoft is taking a lot of the dual screen programming and software they're building and releasing it to the overall Android community. So it's open source. Other companies can take it and take all the like smart things they've learned about dual screen management and put them into their devices. So I hope we see some of that.
I'm personally very hopeful. Lenovo is a very interesting example too, because we've seen them do some wild stuff. Back at CES, before everything kind of went the way that it went, we saw, like a foldable ThinkPad, one of the first like properly foldable laptops. So there are companies out there that are committed to spending at least part of their budgets and their time and their effort to doing really outlandish, interesting things. So if Microsoft proves there is a market with a device like this, I can't imagine other people would pass that up unnecessarily. But whether or not there is a big market for something like this is a huge question, and one that, because we can't really turn it on, can't really begin to answer yet.
Let me just say, so on this stream is the first time I turned it on, held a final unit. The last time I touched the Surface Duo was like for 30 seconds when Microsoft showed it off last year. So this is all like first time impressions for me. I'm looking forward to spending more time with it over the next few weeks. And also, I know other folks on staff will be taking a close look at it too for review in the next few weeks. Got to figure out exact timing on that. Let me just say, go back and read something I wrote last year when Microsoft announced this. I said that it seems like this idea, this plan for a dual screen phone rather than a folding phone makes more sense for the market. And I still hold by that, especially now that I'm actually holding it. This thing's going to be $1,400 compared to the folding phones we've seen. The Fold started at near $2,500. The Z Flip started around $1,380. I believe, but the Z Flip is a very different device, right? It is basically just one of these screens that folds down and becomes more compact. It's not really about multitasking. The Z Flip was more about making a big screen phone, a little more pocketable, right? So this is doing something very different. I feel like this is more durable than having a single screen that you're folding back and forth, because hinges are strong. They're meant for this a lot, whereas I still feel icky about bending a screen. I don't feel like that technology is there yet. And we'll see what happens with the Z Fold 2, which we don't know the price of. They still have the potential issue of like the dust in the hinge and stuff being problematic with that device. You don't have any of those issues here. This is just two screens connected by a very strong, sturdy hinge. And they're two separate, like very thin screens, which I feel like makes for an overall like really nice feeling package here.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. David, a couple more questions from the chat here. Good Guy Greg asks, when the Duo is closed, are the screens touching each other? Is there something preventing them from rubbing up, or what's going on there?
That's a good question here. So let's
that might be a big use case for the bumper, which we did try on, but curious to see what it's like when it's just shut naturally.
Let me see how close I can get without the camera freaking out. The screens are touching, but I don't think they're rubbing against each other. They're not like... Yeah.
That feels bad. That feels bad, man.
To me, that feels more complete, right? It doesn't feel... The thing about folding phones is like once you fold them, the folding screens, they never fold completely shut, right? There's always a little gap. There's always that little thing where stuff can get in. It doesn't feel like anything can really get in here, but certainly dust or sand or something, if you're at the beach and you're using this and you close it in, that's not going to be good. And then you shake it up. Yeah.
It looks like there is a bit of a gap towards the hinge, but for the most part, these things are very close. So yeah. Just like with any other device that has mechanical systems that allow it to fold or whatever, like you want to treat this thing with kid gloves, almost certainly. Samsung has told me numerous times, do not bring a Galaxy Fold to a beach. I don't think you should do that with this thing as well. That's this might be one of the situations in which you really do want to make sure that bumper is kind of on at all times. Another question coming in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How easy is the Duo to open with one hand, and can you open it sort of one-handed like you would a laptop when it's down on a flat surface?
Let's see. Okay, now I'm off camera. Sorry, let me put it on my hand here. You can see this. Can't really do it. Let me see. You gotta get like a little grip there. This is not a one-handed device. Let me put it that way. Like this is not. Maybe if I put it on a table and try to do it. But it's so light. The thing about a laptop is it has that weight to really... I'm going to do it now. No, it can't do it. It's too light to do it one-handed. So you'll need to have something else to kind of brace it. Laptops have that weight to really hold themselves down while you pull up the display. Not really this. I don't see that as a problem. Just because... I
can't imagine most people sort of default to thinking of using it that way, you know?
Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be traveling and using it in like single phone mode, like you could just put it in your pocket like this, and it'll just swipe up and use it like you would a normal screen, you know, or a normal smartphone. Cool. Well, any other questions? Yeah.
We've got quite a few. I'm just trying to. So a lot of the questions are like, why aren't you turning it on and that kind of thing. But as we've said,
take a guess, people. Come on.
We'll put it to you this way: if we could turn this phone on, we would.
I certainly would. We can't. There's currently a sniper rifle pointed at my head from Redmond, Washington. So not great.
Yeah, the cross-country sniper rifle is one of those Microsoft innovations that doesn't get enough attention.
Really, it's going to be in the next Halo game. Don't worry about it.
Thompson asks, "Do you feel like if there were dust particles on the screen, it would scratch the screens once folded?" That's a distinct possibility.
Yep. Anything, and even like I know you have this problem. Jeans pockets seem like the dangerous place where we all put our phones, and that's where I get scratches. That's how I inevitably will crack my phone's screen. I wonder how strong this thing is going to be because everything is so thin. I don't know. And by the way, we were just talking about the beach. There is no waterproofing on this, so that to me is a concern. I kind of expect that from every premium device now, and I've had instances, not just toilets, but if you drop your phone in the sink, your phone gets wet outside. You don't want to have to worry about a little bit of water killing your very expensive device. I really wish Microsoft had figured out a way to do that. That may have been tough with the hinge, and there's a lot of data. There's power going between the hinges. There's a lot of stuff that they would have had to manage that may have just been too tough, but I'm disappointed by that for sure.
For sure. And I think the one thing we might not know for sure is that, this thing, to my understanding, does not have an IP rating for water dust resistance.
No.
Some companies decide the cost of doing that testing might not be worth it. So for all we know, it is possible there is some level of protection here, but not one that would be notable enough for you to bank on. So.
No. I will say one-handed, just moving the phone around, it is very nice. I have big hands, so I can hold this wide thing.
Just doing that. Two more things. Shout out to Mark Dell, who's just been in this chat really throwing a lot of wild questions out there. We unfortunately cannot answer Mark's questions about how this phone tastes, but maybe
not on stream.
Review
Sorry.
time. let's check in closer to review time, and maybe we can work something out.
I can't tell you how it smells, and it smells like
someone actually did ask how it smelled, so thank you for getting to that.
It smells good. Like, listen, since I've been a kid, I really love the smell of new devices. That horrible plastic, noxious smell that will inevitably hit you. Think of the smell of like old print magazines, like Game Pros. When I first got a Game Pro, you take it out of the bag. It smells good. It smells like good plastic. Don't smell your devices, people. Engadget does not condone that.
I that's kind of what I do anyway, so it's fine. Thompson, again, is it compatible with any sort of pen to Vidra? I think you mentioned it works with all versions of the Surface Pen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which does not come in the box, so it's at least $100 you'll have to be spending for that.
Well, so the one thing someone in chat raised a little while ago is that, because this does seem to be a device that is geared towards people who really prefer Microsoft's take on things, at least when it comes to hardware and software, there's a decent possibility that those people already have some kind of Surface Pen to use.
Likely. So I think they are kind of banking on that. So for those people, if you have a Surface Pen, great. The thing is, you still have to carry it around with you, and there's nowhere to put it here. We do know that the Surface Neo, which is the larger Windows-powered dual-screen device coming, we don't know when that's coming. Could be later this year, could be next year. That one has space for a Surface, for a small stylus. So that's going to be more oriented to styluses. This one, they assume, maybe you're a nerd who keeps a stylus in their pocket. I don't know.
More questions. Moe, it should come with a rubber bumper. It does. So you're good there. We did find the bumper. It's in the box. To whoever was asking about notifications, no, there's no external display here. So devices like the Galaxy Fold, the Z Fold 2, the Z Flip, the Z Flip 5G all have some manner of external display, however small they might be, to let you know what time it is and if something's happening, which you just don't get here, which does feel like a bit of a misstep, but
you don't get that. But I feel like the thing you can do here that you can't do with those other devices is actually put it in your pocket like this. This is single screen phone mode, and you tap this. This is just going to be like a typical Android phone, right? Where you see your updates and the time and everything. So I guess it depends on how you plan to walk around with it. When I'm using this is probably going to be the way I fold the phone, right? I won't really close it too much unless I'm like going to bed or something. So we'll see. You kind of have the freedom to do it however you want it, which is the flexibility I can appreciate here.
I have a quick question from me.
Yeah.
Where is there a SIM card slot around there? Where's that going to be?
I just saw it right here.
So is that I'm actually looking at the YouTube stream to make sure that we're interacting with the chat well. But is that part of the area that would be covered by the bumper?
I don't believe so. But let's. So I have the right bumper. It's hard for me to tell which side is bumpered, but yes. Or actually,
I bring it up because good guy Greg mentions that, if the SIM card tray would have rubber around it, that might mean that there is waterproofing to some level. SIM card trays typically have some sort of rubber gasket to kind of keep things from getting inside. The bumper I asked about because maybe it would help out in that scenario, but there's a lot of stuff to kind of figure out.
Let me just say shout out to Dave Lee, the great YouTube gadget.
Oh, Dave 2D for sure.
Yeah, he is super great, and he mentioned that he opened up this thing and there was no rubber gasket. So there goes that theory. Sorry.
Ooh, big yikes.
Yeah. It's a shame. Like these are downside. This is a first generation device too, which is something I typically recommend people don't buy, but I can see the excitement for this because this feels like, the first major phone change, aside from the folding devices too, but this feels like we're seeing new types of phones, not just bigger screens, not just, faster processors and things that may not be super noticeable year to year. This is a fundamentally different way of using your phone. So yeah. Any other questions we want to go through?
We've got a lot of questions about screen protectors, which we've kind of touched on. Govind Krishna asked if you can use a glass screen protector on this thing. And right off the bat, there isn't anything that would lead me to believe that you couldn't. The one thing I might be concerned about is depending on how closed the phone has to be for the phone to register that it's closed. If you have glass screen protectors that are somewhat thick on both sides, that might have an effect, but we really cannot say for sure without turning this on, which by the way, we cannot because we
cannot do. It's a shame.
Aldrin Passion, wouldn't it be great if the Microsoft logo lights individually acted as a notification LED? That would be great, but
that'd be cool. Doesn't. More power draw. Honestly, people really worry about those notifications. The way I go, like, I don't know. Like I said, like when I'm testing this is going to be the way I close the phone and put it in my pocket. And there's nothing telling me I can't do it this way. You can kind of use this thing however you want. So I will see those notifications,
Right. 0 stars. Can you do a bend test? No, we can't. No. Which not to dismiss the question out of hand, because I am, as you sort of alluded before, I'm a tight jeans kind of guy. So very often my phone winds up in my back pocket. And I'm not going to lie, I've sat on my phones before. And because this thing looks so slim, I would naturally be concerned that my big old
let's wait till as we review it, and I like to do bend tests and stress tests as we get towards the end of our review. So if we kill the device, we can still have a thing we can write about.
Exactly. This is our one review device, so we can't destroy it.
If the entire device was just like the 4 millimeters thin on its own, I would have concerns for sure. When it's sandwiched together like this, it feels like they're a little sturdier together.
David Cheng asks, where is the pen? You don't get one.
Don't get a pen, and there's nowhere to put the pen. So keep it in your nerd pockets.
So there is nowhere to magnetically attach the pen, correct?
Well, not that I've seen, and I have a Surface Pen somewhere. I just have to dig it up. But even then, the Surface Pens are thick and a little big, and it would look awkward kind of attached to this. So I don't know. That's a good question. You think we're good to go? I feel like people have seen us just twist this thing around for
basically. And guys, like we know that we've been streaming for about 40 minutes now, just talking and like flipping the same phone over and over again. We would love to show you literally everything, but there are limits to what we are able to do right now. So thank you for kind of sticking with us as we just talk about this thing that we're holding.
This is great. I mean, a lot of gadgets get us, we get weird embargoes with them. It comes with games too, but I think like the best thing we can do is try to get the most value out of these limits. And this is good. I wanted to show everybody this. We're also not doing an Engadget podcast this week. So consider this our fun little podcast conversation. But if you want to hear me talk more deeply about this in the next couple of weeks, be sure to subscribe to the Engadget podcast on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Join us live Thursdays, typically.
Dev, real quick, where's that fingerprint sensor at, my friend?
That, I believe...
And for those asking, there is no micro SD. You get, I believe, 256 gigs.
256 with the $1,400 one, and for $1,500 you get 512. So
got it.
That's if you're buying this phone, just go there. I believe the fingerprint sensor is going to be on the power button, as we've seen on some other devices.
E. Smith asks, why would you sit on a $1,400 device? Look, man, just stuff happens sometimes. Like you can't, you're not always operating in the right headspace. It's life. It's life.
Sometimes you've had too many drinks, you leave a phone in a bar,
Oh yeah, let's not go back to 2010 there, my friend. Farhan Noor asks, can you guys hold it up next to an iPhone? Deb, if you can just give him that sweet beauty shot again real quick.
I could do that. I don't want to give up my... So here's the back. I just don't want to show off my... And this is an iPhone 11 Pro. iPhone 11 Pro, not the Pro Max. I always get those names confused. So I like the size of the Pro. The Pro Max was always too big for me. So this is a little wider. Thickness, I feel like, and I have a clear case on. So sorry, it's hard for me to judge things with this camera. Like comparable, and the case of my iPhone makes it a little thicker. And then front comparison, basically the same deal. But yeah, the cool thing is, I have two screens to compare to now.
Moe asks, does it have NFC connectivity? Which it does not.
Does not. No NFC. So that's a shame. It means no wireless payments, none of that.
Yeah, which are especially helpful right now. Although I should point out that our good friend Daniel Rubino at Windows Central points out that, if you pair something like the new Fitbit watch or sort of any kind of modern wearable with the Surface Duo, you do get that as an NFC touch point. So you can sort of work around that provided you have extra hardware or are willing to pay for extra hardware, but you're not getting NFC out of the box.
It's a shame. I would have liked the MC. That seems like pretty much basic. I would have liked water resistance of some kind. I don't care that this isn't a 5G phone, just because our 5G networks are not there yet, and certainly not enough for people to be rushing out to buy things. I would be a little surprised if this year's iPhone was actually 5G, but we'll see.
This baby's 5G. This baby's 5G.
It's gonna be 5G. Okay.
There's like, if it's not, then there are some serious issues that we need to discuss. So Dev, there's one question that keeps coming up in the chat that I've been trying to put off for as long as possible. People want to see you put this thing in a pocket, and I don't know how you want to approach that, but if there's a way that you could, people want that.
I don't know what this angle is. I'm gonna stand up here and just put it in. I am wearing very fashionable cargo shorts, so let's see what this looks like. And let me know what you guys see. Okay, cool. These are cargo shorts. But let me just say, these are very big pockets. These are not VE jeans pockets. And listen, I have some skinny jeans, not skinny jeans, but slim jeans. I have that issue too. Trust me.
Okay, so it does fit in the pocket. To everyone asking, we did just try it. If I ever get to try one of these at some point, you better believe I will put them in my Uniqlo jeans made of rubber. So we will get you that information as soon as possible. Obina Opokwasili, does it have Surface Pen support? It does. It plays nice with all of the Surface Pens.
Yes, it does. I feel like we've talked as much as we can without turning this thing on. I'm looking forward to turning it on because I still have not done that. So look back to us in the next few weeks. We're going to have more thoughts. We're going to have a full review. We're going to be talking about it on the Engadget podcast. We're going to hopefully do more videos too. This is the phone I've been most excited about this year. So you can bet we're going to be talking a lot about it.
Yeah, and in the meantime, for all the people watching now and for the people who dropped before, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit around and watch us play with a phone that we cannot turn on. I've surprisingly had a lot of fun doing this. I'm sure Devinder has as well. And we've really enjoyed answering your questions and just kind of hanging out. So thanks. And hopefully we get to do it again. Quick reminder, we have a Gamescom stream tomorrow at 1:40 p.m. 4 p.m. Eastern. 1:40 p.m. Eastern tomorrow to learn about what's going on at Gamescom. If you want to stay on top of that, please join us for our next stream. But in the meantime, I think we're good, Dev.
We're out. Thank you, folks.